Hello, beautiful. Welcome back. Today we're going to have a quick, fast and dirty look at Elemental Shaman going into 11.1. Not a lot of changes from the last season. However, if you're new to the spec or return to the spec, this should be pretty useful, I hope. We're going to have a quick look at the build, some best in slot options going into the new season from next week. We'll have a look at the talents and the few little changes that we've had, and then dig into some rotations, and then we'll get the hell out of here. All right then, talents, let's go. So Farseer, Stormbringer, pretty much same as last season. Stormbringer, AoE M+, Farseer, single target. Happy days. Few changes. We've lost Ancestral Guidance. The 1 minute cooldown, mini off heal, converted some of your damage into healing for your party. That's now gone, which is sad. Healing Stream Totem has picked up an 80% buff, which is okay. It's still not very useful, but it is what it is. It might be useful in later content, but for now, I'm not using it. If you do take it, make sure you pick up Ellie Resistance as well for the damage reduction. Arc Discharge and Stormkeeper have had their nerf from last season reverted. So it's now back to 2 charges. It was 1. So when you use Stormkeeper or you get an Arc Discharge proc from Tempest, you get 2 charges of instant cast, Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning. With Stormkeeper, it's increased damage as well, which is nice. That's a nice little reversion and a buff, I suppose. Deeply Rooted Elements has been changed, so it now procs off Maelstrom Spent rather than Maelstrom Spender. At the moment, honestly, I've felt no difference. You know, let me know in the comments if you've noticed more or less procs. For me, at the moment, it feels about the same. But the big change is Primordial Wave. It's now Pants in M+, because it's just too awkward and too annoying to use. You need to have Flame Shock on all your targets that you want to hit with P-Wave. So in single target, it's still useful and it's still strong, but in AoE, we're just not using it. It's too awkward to get down to use Liquid Magma Totem to use with it. So we're just not using it. Happy days. So let's have a look at the Shaman side, utility and flexibility and stuff. It's all going to depend on the encounter you're going into. So stuff like Earth Grab Totem, Tremor Totem, Poison Cleansing Totem can all be flexed around as much as you need. You know, stuff like Purge, Cleanse Spirit. Just have a look at the encounter or the dungeon that you're going to and what you're going to need to take with you. The only things you don't want to ever drop really are Capacitor Totem with Static Charge, because it's a nice AoE interrupt and stun. Same goes for Thunderstorm. It's a bit of an AoE interrupt if you can get close enough, so you don't really want to drop those. On the Ellie side, we're still playing around Echoes of Great Sundering and Lightning Rod in AoE and M+. So if you're new to the spec, it's basically you're going to be using Earth Shock, and then your next cast will be Earthquake. You sort of alternate between the two, because every time you cast Earth Shock or Ellie Blast, it's going to increase the damage of your next Earthquake. So you want to be, like I say, alternating between the two. With Earth Shock, you can go for Ellie Blast, and you know it's still the same play style. It's just you lose a bit of mobility because obviously Ellie Blast has got a cast time, but it does give her an overall slight damage increase. But it balances out with the mobility you lose by using Earth Shock. So my recommendation is play with both and see which one you prefer. Certainly in higher keys, I think Ellie Blast is going to be stronger, but to start the season, we're going to be using Earth Shock for the most part. Ice Fury is super strong. So when your Frost Shock converts to Ice Fury, you want to be utilizing those procs as soon as you can. Fusion of Elements, which, you know, it kind of organically flows a little bit. So after you hit Ice Fury, your next Nature and Fire spell are going to trigger an Ellie Blast at 60% of effectiveness, which is nice. It does decent damage. You don't need to worry about playing around that too much though, because you know if you're utilizing Lava Surge, so you get an instant cast Lava Burst, which you know you only really need to use if you need to move. Or reapplying Flame Shock to your primary target in AoE or in a boss fight. It's going to trigger Fusion of Elements anyway. Like I say, as long as you're hitting those Ice Fury procs as soon as they come up. But you'll see that in the rotation. It's a nice play style at the moment. We're taking Aftershock over Surge of Power still, because it's much better to have that chance of a refund on your Maelstrom, so you can be hitting more Earth Shocks and Earthquakes more regularly. And the more regularly you hit those, the more regularly you're going to, in theory, hit a deeply rooted proc and get into Ascendance. Ascendance is still super strong for Ellie. Underneath, you've got the 2 options of Preeminence or First Ascendant. Preeminence is the recommended option because you get a 20% increase to haste and you get a 3-second longer Ascendance window. For me, I personally prefer to play with First Ascendant. It reduces the cooldown by 60 seconds. And to sort of get around the haste reduction, I just use Flask of Tempered Swiftness over Flasks of Alchemical Chaos, which I know is not the recommended and the ideal min-max situation, but that's just the way I prefer to play it. For single target, we're going to switch over to Farseer. Shaman side, again, it's your utility stuff. Flex it around and take what you need. Farseer is just slightly more superior in pure single target. Doesn't mean you can't use Stormbringer in single target. You're just going to be losing out on some damage. And the way it plays is we drop Lightning Rod, we drop Echoes of Great Sundering, and that allows us to pick up Everlasting Elements, Earth and Rage, Heatwave, and Splintered Elements. So as annoying and, let's say bad in M+, P-Wave is, in single target, it's still quite strong. And it's nice to get that Splintered Elements haste increased as well. Again, Earth Shock, Ellie Blast, they can be swapped depending on your playstyle and what you prefer. It's just Earth Shock. You get that mobility, which is super useful. And especially looking at the new raid, I think mobility is going to be quite important. But you'll see that again. You'll see that in the rotation, how it plays. But that's your talents going into season 2. If there's any changes, we'll put some new updated videos out. But let's have a look at everything else. All right, so moving on to build and everything we should be looking for. Quick look at the stats. So it's very similar to last season as the entire class is really. We want to be looking for haste at the top, mastery, versatility, and then crit strike for single target. For AoE, you want to swap crit strike and versatility. That's just because of the way Stormbringer works, and it benefits slightly more from crit strike. In terms of the percentages to be looking for, about 35% into haste, 35% into mastery, 20% in versatility, and 10% in crit strike. And again, obviously swap those for AoE, or if you're just focusing on M+. Balance those out as much as you can with your gems and your enchants and all that good stuff. It's going to be trickier going into the start of the season without tier set and all that jazz. But just do what you can. If you're like me, just don't worry too much about the numbers. Just do what you can to get close to them, providing haste is at the top. Haste is our most important thing. Without haste, the class just feels rough. When it comes to stuff like consumables and all that jazz, as I've already touched on in the talents, I personally opt for Flask of Tempered Swiftness, but the recommended flask is Alchemical Chaos. You should be using Algari Mana Oils on your weapons. Make sure you don't do what I used to do and apply Flame Tongue weapon as well, because they don't stack. So just use your Algari Mana Oils. We're going to be using Tempered Potion as our potion of choice. And then for foods, if you haven't got a rich sugar daddy or a bad man guild leader that's always putting out feasts for you, your personal foods, stuff like Belladar's Bounty, Jester's Board, Emperor's Farewell, they're all very, very good. Anything that's going to boost one of your secondary stats. And that's all for build so far. As we get deeper into the season, we might revisit this and have a look at it a bit further. But let's move on to the rotations. All right, dudes. So rotation. We'll start off with the Oda single target with Farseer. The main bulk of it is, as always with Shaman, is just spamming Lightning Bolt, hitting Earth Shocks. We're going to utilize our Ice Fury procs as much as possible. You can utilize your Lava Surge procs to get your instant cast Lava Burst, to trigger Master of the Elements as well, to boost the damage of your Earth Shocks and your Lightning Bolts. everything like Stormkeeper, Storm Elemental, P-Wave, you can pretty much use off cooldown, unless Storm Ellie and Stormkeeper won't be back up before your next Ascendance window, because you want to go into Ascendance with, you know, everything as much as possible, really. So, you know, stuff like your potions, you want to line it up with Lust and all that jazz, just to really maximize the use of Ascendance. So at the moment, I'm not buffed up because I'm cash poor, so I need to reserve my pots and food and all that jazz. But let's have a look at the opener. So we're going to open with Stormkeeper, Storm Elemental. We're going to use a Lava Burst straight into a Flame Shock. We're going to hit P-Wave, our Racial, into Ascendance. We've got Ice Fury already, so we're going to use that. We're going to start spamming Lightning Bolt, so we've got enough Maelstrom to hit Earth Shocks. Hit that. I missed that Lava Burst, so I'm going to use Ancestral Swiftness to get an instant cast one to trigger Fusion of Elements. Flame Shock needs reapplying at about 6 seconds to go. Another Lava Surge, and then just rinse and repeat. So, like I say, it's just Lightning Bolt. So I'm going to use that Lava Surge proc just there into Earth Shock. P-Waves back up and rinse and repeat a little bit. I'm going to use another Lava Surge proc. Keep going. Ice Fury's back. So I'm going to use that into Earth Shock, into Lava Surge. Flame Shocks fell off because I'm slacking. And so on and so forth. So on and so forth. So a lot of Lightning Bolt spam, as always. And Earth Shocks, Storm Keepers back up. Remember, you get 2 charges of instant cast Lightning Bolts, so you can use that to move around if you need to. Flame Shock is instant cast, so you can move around. Lava Surge is instant cast, so you can move. There is a lot of movability and mobility in this class at the moment, so it's really nice. If you opt for Ellie Blast, you lose some of that mobility, like I said, in the talents, but it is a damage increase, so it's entirely up to you. Okay then, and then moving on to the AoE rotational stuff. Obviously, we're on Stormbringer, so we're going to be playing around Echoes of Great Sundering and Lightning Rod for the most part. Keep an eye on when your Tempest procs as well, because that's going to be your super priority skill. But the open is going to be the same as single target, Stormkeeper, Storm Ellie, and then we pretty much just go straight into Ascendance. If you've not got Ascendance, you just go straight into Chain Lightning spam, hitting your Earth Shocks, switching to the next target, Earthquake, Lightning Bolt spam, Earth Shock, and, you know, rinse and repeat. It's not the most exciting rotation in the world, but it's pretty straightforward once you get your head around target swapping and switching between Earthquake and Earth Shock. It's a nice rotation. So we'll open with Ascendance for this one. So we're going to open with Stormkeeper, Storm Ellie. I'm going to go straight into my Racial and Ascendance, Lightning Bolts, and I'm going to hit an Earth Shock, tab target to the next one, so that I'll make sure I hit them with Earthquake, tab target to the next one. I've had a refund, so I can hit another Earth Shock straight away, and then Lightning Bolts. You can use that Lava Surge if you want to. Got an Ice Fury proc, so I'm going to use that as well. You don't need to worry too much about reapplying Flame Shock unless it's a primary target. Tempest is up, so I'm going to use Swiftness to get an instant cast on that. Obviously, this is a little bit slower because I'm sort of talking you through it as well, but you can see you're applying Lightning Rod to as many targets as possible. Get your Stormkeeper back up. When it's off cooldown, make sure you make use of those 2 instant cast Chain Lightnings or Lightning Bolts in single target. And it's just rinse and repeat like everything with Shaman at the moment. Tempest back up, so I'm going to hit that, tab target. That's already got Lightning Rod, but it's about to finish, so I'm not going to worry about it. Earthquake again, got Ascendance proc, and some refunds as well, so I can reapply Lightning Rod to all these targets quite quickly and easily, which is nice. And that's it, that's the bulk of the AoE. And then just to finish off, Stormbringer, so single target, same opener as, well, AoE and single target Farseer as well. You know, Stormkeeper, Storm Ellie up. You can get that Lava Burst going into Flame Shock, Racial and Ascendance, Lightning Bolt spam, Earth Shocks. Use your Swiftness to get your Tempest out. You can use your Ice Fury. Lava Surge and Lava Burst procs are a little bit more important in single target because, you know, similar to Farseer, we want to make the most of master the elements, keeping Flame Shock up, and that's it. And just rinse and repeat. Lightning Bolt spam, Earth Shocks, or Ellie Blast, depending on how you play. Ice Fury procs when they're available. Lava Surge procs when they're available. Earth Shock procs available when they're available. Tempest, Dawnkeeper off Ellie, off cooldown. Sorry, off Ellie. It is Ellie. And that's it. It's straightforward. It's fast. It's furious. We're still alternating between Earthquake and Earth Shock to make sure we're maximizing our damage. And that's it. It's straightforward. A lot of fun. I love Ellie. I think it's the best class in the game. We've got buffs come in this week as well to make it even better. And then knowing Shammy's luck and Blizz will probably get Giga nerfed in a couple of weeks. So it is what it is. There's my little dude. There's my transmog if anybody's interested in my Dark Shaman appearance. You made it this far. You're a legend. I love you to bits. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're not already. From next week, I'm going to be streaming most days. I'll definitely be streaming the new raid as well as we get into it. So be sure to stop by. And apart from that, my dudes, I will catch you on the next one.